cleansing and detoxing was one of the first things probably that I learned in my very first iridology course. Because when we are looking at the eye and the tissue condition of the body through the eye, we are looking at areas of congestion, which can represent toxicity because it can be things that are stuck in the body. So what we want to do, and it's been argued in many camps, well, our body, we have organs that detoxify and we don't need to do anything to help that. Well, I beg to differ because we have a lot of pollution out there. We have stuff in our water. We have chemicals in our food. We have preservatives in our food if you're eating things that contain preservatives. And we have a lot of I guess the air and water are the two key ones that we don't necessarily have a lot of control over because, it's being put there by somebody else. So we need to assist our body as much as we can. So we have lungs to detoxify weak acids when we breathe, carbon dioxide. We have our kidneys. We have our whole digestive system. We have our lymphatic system and our blood. And while those are venues for nutrition, there are also ways that our body gets rid of waste. So if those become clogged, and we're eliminating pounds of waste every day, but if one of those channels becomes clogged or slows down, the rest of them all have to take up the slack. So then it stresses the 3 or 4 that are left. And if we're not living in a right, aligned way, then our organs are going to slow down and they're not going to be as efficient. And there's a genetic component to that as well, which we don't always understand our genetics to know how that's really going to influence us. But there can be genetic predispositions to not producing enough of something as a byproduct of something else. You may be genetically predisposed to missing manufacturing a certain enzyme or something like that, and obviously there are severe genetic conditions where that shows up. So basically, even in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, the premise is to constantly assist the body to do its own detoxification process. I generally talk about, and I think, we've talked about, twice a year is kind of the key time to do a major focus detox. So that would be spring and fall. And that's the major changes of the season. Again, you're going along with the Earth's energy of those changes. And you want to kind of keep in alignment with that. So what we want to do is we want to simplify our intake of food. We want to give our digestive organ a break as much as possible. So we can do that by intermittent fasting, there's lots of definitions to intermittent fasting. A lot of people understand the concept of just eating between noon and 8 or 11 and 7 or 10 and 6, which is one way to do intermittent fasting. And that keeps with the natural circadian rhythm of the body. When your body is ready to take in nutrition, when it's ready to break down the nutrition, when it's ready to assimilate the nutrients. And that's called the concept of natural hygiene. So we want to support that. And when we take breaks from food and our body gets a little bit hungry, it's doing something called autophagy, which is going in and basically cleaning itself up. So our body naturally does that if we give it the space to do it. So and another way of intermittent fasting is to actually abstain from food for 24 to 48 hours. And there's been some independent studies to show that even your human growth hormone levels and different hormone levels in the body will increase in a response to this break from taking in solid food, giving it that intermittent fast. So that's really important because those are, like, human growth hormone is a growth hormone that will stimulate growth and healing. Well, why wouldn't we want that in our body, to kind of reset and revitalize. And then the other component of that, so a lot of people will do water fasting or this kind of a thing. I've always been an advocate of using herbs, right from even before I was doing things professionally. I was always adding herbal things into my routine. And the power of herbs just goes beyond water. So when you are doing that 24 to 48 hour fast, if you can add botanicals or herbal blends into that fasting component, then you're basically helping to get in there and do some internal scrubbing in the
Mm-hmm.
cells, get the body to release more of, and a lot of times our cells can be stuck. They can be, the cellular matrix of the cell can actually be rigid, and it can be stuck in terms of its ability to slough off toxins. So by
Mm-hmm.
using herbals and botanicals and even homeopathy, we can get those cells to open up and discharge what it needs to discharge. And then obviously we want to, along with that, we can do some other herbal things to support our digestion. Apple cider vinegar, green tea, um, herbals like pau d'arco, black walnut, peppermint, herbs like that are very supportive and healing to the digestive tract. I
Mm-hmm.
would say most clients that I work with have some sort of digestive compromise. So
Yeah.
again, if you can't digest and break things down, your body can't access the nutrition. So we want to really support the digestive tract to heal and be in good shape. And then by, getting in there and doing that toothbrush scrubbing, I call it, on the cells, then we can just open up the detox pathways. We can get them working optimally, hopefully up to 100%. And then as we go into our daily routine, we're going to feel energy, not, lack of energy. So, and another key thing that we want to support is through some adaptogenic herbs is to support our stress. And who doesn't have stress? Adrenals take a big hit these days. And our adrenals, you just think of where they sit above the kidneys. They're like right at the sort of, I call it the fulcrum of your system because it's at that midway point. It's like, if you were lying down, that would be the fulcrum of the teeter-totter where you're balancing back and forth, that's where our adrenals are. And so to keep our adrenals strong for women, our adrenals do produce estrogen as we go into perimenopause and menopause. So it's very key to keep our adrenals healthy going into that time of our life. And also just in general, if we've got, our adrenal fatigue and we've got too much cortisol running through our bloodstream, then that cortisol acts as a tear down hormone. It has a very important role in doing that, but if it's chronically there in the body, it's going to overall, be detracting from our overall health and well-being. So yeah, we want to support our bodies as much as we can. Cleansing is a really key component of that. It supports the body in its processes. It will show you a lot of things about your body that you probably weren't aware of before, because some
Mm-hmm.
of that intuitive speaking will start to come out a little more when you decide to cleanse and detox.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall can be so, so beneficial long term for your health.